Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastubh Das. Welcome to the show. This is episode 1395, sitting here live with Miss Mara. Spinning the dials. It's Q&A day. That's the day people write in their questions. We try our best to answer it. And if you have a question, you can write Miss Mara too. Wisdom of the Sages 108 at gmail.com, or go right to our new website, wisdomofthesages.com. And there's a place, what's the tab called, Mara?
Community chat, and then questions for our hosts.
Questions for our hosts, and we put them in a file. But the file goes quick. You get your questions answered. We were doing Sherry Yannick's questions. She must have had like 100 questions already answered. People think, well, you know what? They're never going to pick my question. Yes, we will.
We're gonna don't guarantee this. It's like a lot of people's their questions don't get answered.
Oh, they don't?
Yeah.
How does Sherry Yannick? Are we favoring Sherry Yannick? Why does her question always get answered?
Her question that's on our list for today, we may not get to it, and it was sent in
4 years
I
ago.
don't have the date on it, but it's like it's been hanging out for a long time.
Yeah, we've been not getting to her
You know what?
question. It's always last on the
questions.
list.
You got to encourage people to send them in.
Yeah, definitely.
Got to be like, we're going to answer it next week. Give them hope, Kastubh.
Okay.
Give them hope. Now no one's going to send in a question.
Just don't guarantee it. That's all I say.
Well, I can't guarantee anything in this world.
All right.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good.
All right. Mara's dad's coming over today.
Yeah, Papa Tony, huh?
Papa Tony.
Has Papa Tony seen that lovely necklace that you gifted Mara for her birthday?
I don't think so.
I don't think
I bet
so.
he'll be impressed with that.
I'm not sure if Papa Tony's impressed with me. I think he likes me.
That'll be a step forward. How do
It
you think
would
he'll
be a
respond
step
to the
forward if
hair?
he likes me. Thank you. Yes, that will be a step forward.
He loves you, Raghu.
I know, but here's the deal. I love a lot of people. I just wouldn't
want to
want
marry
a
my
lot of
daughter.
people dating my daughter, even the people I love. You know what I mean? It's a whole different type of love.
Right.
I love Kastubh.
Oh. And as far as my dating,
As far as your dating goes, stay away from my daughter. Hare Krishna. I'm not gonna think about that. Hare Krishna.
let's keep this moving forward here.
Let's
Raghunath. Maybe
keep,
this
please
announcement
keep
to
this
make.
moving forward. Even Henry's giving me the keep it going, keep it going. You're in a ditch right now. You're in a sinkhole. Get out of that.
All right, announcements.
Announcements. We got a Wisdom of the Sages retreat coming up at the farm, peeps. It's on our board, wisdomofthesages.com, or you can find it on raghunath.yoga. That's happening on Columbus Day, for those who still call it Columbus Day. We also have got a camp retreat happening on Labor Day. What a great way to wrap up your summer. Mara's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Kastubh is going to be there.
Maybe.
We're going to try to get Kastubh there. Dunny and Bali are going to be there. We're going to get Kastubh here.
All right. Also, we have
How are
Back
you
to
gonna do
Recover
that?
group meetings at 9:30 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern time. And tomorrow we've got a special guest interview with Kripa Moya Prabhu about his new book.
Woohoo!
And that's at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Woohoo! And Kastubh, me, Mara, taking a group to India this autumn. And some people have wrote me say, I really want to go. Can't go. Guess what? You can go
Yeah.
to the Wisdom of the Sages retreat in January. That's already up on our board. That's where we park it at the Govardhan Eco Village with Radhanath Swami. Great retreat. Then we go to the big, wonderful flower festival. And some people are like, well, what else should I do? Because that's only about a week. Guess what? We're taking a
No,
group.
that's 2
Maya.
weeks. That's 2
Oh, it's 12. Yeah, it's 12 days. Yeah. And if you want to stay longer, we're taking a group to Mayapur for 1 week. Mayapur. This is only for people who are sort of opted in. I'm a devotee of Lord Krishna. If you're a devotee of Lord Krishna, you will love Mayapur. You might lose your material mind. So you can write to us on the just write to us. How about that? Okay, so it's Q&A day, sir.
Yeah.
You ready to dive in? This is from Achyuta.
This was Chuta may be like, what? Because he wrote this one on the chat board the other day. But I
Oh,
thought,
I
that's
didn't
an
even
important
realize it.
Yeah.
Okay, Chuta, here's your question.
Now, just to say, chat board is not the best place to write your question if you want to get it answered. Better to write to wisdomofsages108@gmail.com or post it
Yeah,
in the
you got to
thread
speak.
on our platform. But we found it, and it was a
Does
good one.
Kastuba have to speak louder? Is that what's
Is
going
it
on?
that again? Let me try.
I don't know. Tell
How
us on
about
the.
now?
Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
nodding. Yes, yes, yes.
How about now? You see, yesterday
There we
I
go.
put this,
That's different.
but it
That's
got too.
different.
I was louder than you yesterday.
Are
It
we
was a
ever going
bit.
to figure
It's
this
so
out?
hard to figure. Maybe we got to wear headphones. That's. I don't
Maybe we
know.
have to have like a cone of silence.
Yeah, cone of silence never really worked, right?
You don't even know what that means, Mara. You're too young. Everyone north of 50 is like laughing right now. Everyone south of 50 is like, what?
The cone of
Okay.
silence.
Cone of silence. Okay. Smart. Where's the. Okay. Here's his question. What if you're feeling hate involuntarily?
You don't want to hate, but you got that
Gotta
hate in you.
Oh, yeah. It's not good for it's not good for you, and you want to let it go, but still it recurs, destroying your peace of mind.
Ah,
Is there a technique that can be applied to change this? Oh, this is going to be good. I want to hear Kastuba's techniques, and then I'll share my techniques.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. I had a few thoughts. It's an important question, and we've been talking a lot about this lately. And I think we just read this fantastic verse just yesterday, right, where it's saying that there's no higher dharma than letting go of all animosity toward every living being. Like that's, your rituals and your, traditions and all that. Its purpose is that you let go of animosity towards all living beings because you're seeing God in everyone. So it's really central to spiritual practice. But we might be feeling it, right? Especially around this election time. So I thought the first thing we can do is, identify what is the stimulus that stirs up these feelings in us, and then you want to limit your exposure to that stimulus most likely. I mean, in most cases we can, you know what? I'm stuck watching 24-hour news cycles. You know what? Like my Instagram thread is just loaded with this kind of stuff. Yeah, the more that you, again, what did we say? Marinate your mind in that.
Marinate your mind in the hate marinate.
Hate marinate.
Hate marinate.
Marinate hate. So you want to limit your exposure to the stimulus of it. But how about this? You, rather than just say, I hate that person, take a little time, identify the quality in that person that you hate, right? Identify, what is it about them? Oh, it's the hypocrisy. I just can't take it. Or, whatever it might be. Then search within yourself for even a trace of that quality.
Ooh.
Right? How can we be feeling such intense feelings about someone else having quality when it's still in us on any level? Right?
Yep,
You like that?
good one. I like it.
Okay, now here's another one. And this one, for me, this is where I really like to go, especially. You zoom out, right? Zoom out. And consider that over the course of, we don't know how many lifetimes, we're all shifting through varieties of bodies and varieties of mindsets. Some of these mindsets that we've had ourselves are more warped than others. And I'm not talking about just in this life, although it is in this life, but even in previous lives. Who knows what we believed? Who knows what convictions we held on to? Who knows how that affected our behavior? It's kind of safe to assume that we've been through all kind of warped mindsets. And this is really important, that this idea that underneath these changing bodies and underneath the changing mindsets is the eternal, pure spark of spiritual energy. And within that spark, its nature, its very nature, its eternal nature is dormant love for Krishna and dormant love for every living being. Now, how can you hate that person? You can't hate that person. How can we judge people for not exhibiting that love fully to others when we're not feeling it for them? You know, it's like so there's there's a logic to that, and it's real. There's if you have faith in this, then you have to follow that and you have to live by it. We use I think it was a few weeks ago we used this example of like if you have a light bulb that's just pure white light, and then you place a some colored glass in front of that, and you're seeing the light bulb through the glass. Then if the glass is red colored, then the light bulb is going to appear red to you, and the light that it gives off is going to be reddish. But it's not the light bulb is not the issue. It's the red glass that's making it red. If you don't like red light, you can't blame the light bulb. You got to blame the glass. And similarly, when we feel hate for someone, it's not them that we should have any animosity towards. It's their warped mindset that is the problem. But underneath it, and in this lifetime, we must, as bhakti yogis, learn to see every living being on that spiritual level. That I'm not seeing the colored glass, I'm seeing the light behind it. That's where I'm focused. And it's not going to be, do we think that's going to be easy? No, that's going to be challenging. Do we think that state of awareness, that state of Krishna consciousness, that pure spiritual awareness is something that's going to be cheap? No, it's going to be tested. And here's your test. That person that you're feeling hate for, that's the person that you need to see underneath the warped mindset and recognize that's my brother, right? That's my sister. That's a spark of spiritual energy as pure as any other one out there. And got to try to love them. Right?
I like that.
That's my thoughts, Raghunath. I'd like to hear yours.
I've felt hate
Hate.
even while practicing as a devotee.
Okay.
And that's humiliating to say.
For who?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
That's even more humiliating. But when these feelings, of course, it's not like we put on a robe and all of a sudden now I'm a pure devotee. Now I've overcome all my problems. Matter of fact, when we make when we make a dedicated commitment, I want to be a devotee of Lord Krishna. That's basically telling Krishna, like, okay, stir up the pot.
Yeah.
Let's see what I got in there. And it would be nice if spirituality was just like a snap of your fingers and it's like a new download. And then and if it was nice, I just put on a new robe and shave my head and I've shaved away all my ego and all my anger and all my lust and all my greed. Just doesn't work that way. It's a whole process. And the 2 times I can remember that I've dealt with it, coming from the advice of a senior person. Okay. Because I guess we all go through these challenges. And Krishna, before we get invited into really Krishna's life closer, he wants us in our cleanest form. He's always in our life. But if we really want to get close to Krishna, we have to start to relinquish this stuff immediately and completely.
Okay.
Immediately and completely. So one of the ways was that person that you're like envious of or hating, dig deep and make it a practice to find their good qualities. Find the person that you're driving you crazy and where you're highlighting their bad. You're just, for example, sometimes there's a beautiful car with a little dent in it, and all your mind goes is right to the dent.
What if it's like a totally dented car?
It's a totally dented. Then that's the thing. The very default of the being is that they're spiritual beings. So if they're really dented and they're really broken, they're not evil. They're doing evil. They're doing evil. But underneath it, there's a pure spirit soul. And that's our pure soul theology. It's not like this guy's a devil and this guy's a demon. Once I start thinking like this, I'm not thinking like Prahlad. I got to start thinking everybody is a devotee. It's like a mindset of, the people are into the mindset of being wealthy or the mindset of being positive or how about the mindset of Krishna consciousness where everybody's actually a pure devotee? Treat everybody like a pure devotee. Overlook their shortcomings, tolerate their shortcomings, love them anyway, and watch people transform instead of disempowering them by repeating their bad qualities to them. Right?
What if the object of our hate is not someone that we deal with, but it's more like a figure in politics or someone that's in the media all the
Well,
time?
you were going there with that. I was going to keep it personal because when I read
Okay.
this, I was taking it personal. I think a personal one because I've seen family members, people who love each other just get into a fight over something trite, and they will take that to the grave. And I
True.
say to the grave because sometimes it takes something like cancer or the person's dying and they go to
Right.
their bedside, please forgive me. I've made so many, and it's like they wasted their whole time, their whole life because they just couldn't say, you know what, I'm sorry. And it should come, those apologies should come without any agenda. The only agenda should be like, I just want to clear my own heart and say, here's what I appreciate about you. So you can make actually a tangible list of what I appreciate them, overlooking their shortcomings. And that's very powerful. Sometimes we don't even appreciate the good qualities in people that we love, and we never let them know how we appreciate them. So that's a 101 course is you're good because of this. I appreciate you because of that. You do so much for me here. I'm so grateful for this. Let people know why you appreciate them. And the next thing is find people who drive you a little crazy that you're envious of, that you even hate, and see what are their good qualities. And you'll be surprised that the only thing you really hate about the person is the fact that they're not stroking your ego. Oftentimes, especially within bhakti circles, oftentimes you might do things differently, but they're just not stroking your ego, and that's why there's some hate there. It's some like deep rooted thing that's more necessarily my problem. But if you start to, and that it's a real good archaeological practice, is dig a little deeper underneath the surface and meditate on the good, and you can get good at this. And if you get good at this, it changes your whole bhakti game.
Hmm.
The second way I've dealt with it is
Okay, the first
pray
day
for
was
people.
seeing the good, searching
See,
it out.
making a list of seeing the good,
That's
making
okay.
a whole tally of great qualities of these people, especially like within bhakti circles. People have a lot of good qualities, even your enemies, or you think they're your enemies.
Oh yeah,
Um,
especially yeah, no doubt.
and oftentimes people just want to do good, but they're doing it in a different way than you are. You know,
Okay.
they say that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that never judge a devotee when you see two advanced devotees arguing about something.
Hmm.
Never pick a side, or you're condemning yourself. Because
Right.
sometimes you'll say, well, wow, that devotee's he's too uptight or too fanatic, or that devotee's too loose about how they go. Never pick a side. You're condemning your own spiritual life. Understand they're both trying out different ways to serve Lord Krishna. Even in wherever they're set with, they're set in how can I serve Krishna best?
Hmm.
I've always thought that was sort of good advice.
Very good advice.
Here's my next one was you pray for the person. You pray for the person who you envy, or you pray for the person that you hate, or you pray for that person's deep spiritual connection. And when you pray for them, I was saying this yesterday, it's like doing the judo flip on Maya. Maya comes after you, this person's driving you crazy, and this person's hating on you. Pray for them. Wish them well. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Seems simple enough. Just say, because once
It
you,
works. It works for you.
yeah, there's no more friction once you start to wish them good fortune.
You know, yeah. No, would you like to continue?
No.
Okay. I was thinking as you were speaking, if all of if all of our relationships, all our interactions were kind of smooth and pleasing, we would never develop the determination to transcend this world, right? It would just be
We'd
like
never grow up.
we'd settle for this mediocrity. There's something about difficulties that we really wouldn't begin spiritual life without them. And there's something about material happiness, material comfort that is deeply, what's the word I'm looking for? That just kind of numbs us out to making progress. I have a verse here, Raghunath. I came across this verse recently. I thought it was very interesting. It's almost like backward thinking to most of us, but it's really we're thinking backward, you know. It said, this is what it says. One who knows that material happiness, whether good or bad, in this life or in the next, on this planet or in the heavenly planets, one who knows that it is temporary and useless, and that an intelligent person should not try to enjoy or even think of such things, is the knower of the self. Now listen to this. Such a self-realized person knows quite well that material happiness is the very cause of conditioned material existence and forgetfulness of one's own constitutional position. Material happiness is what confuses us. Material happiness just buries us. Huh?
Oh,
It's
it's
powerful,
just,
right?
the weird thing is when we think of religion, we always think, I want to pray for happiness. I want to pray
Yeah.
for peace. I want to
You're
pray for
praying for your
good
own ignorance.
times.
In a sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like we're praying for our own ignorance. I will say Mara makes my life so easily and joyful that I forget that the material world is temporary
No,
and painful.
Mara,
All
cause
right.
him a little more
Can you
pain.
cause me a little more pain, please? You're ruining my spiritual life.
I'm on it.
She's got those knitting needles right there.
Yeah.
That's Srimad Bhagavatam 9:19-20, that verse. But think about that in terms of the relationships, like when people annoy us, when people disturb us, when people speak in ways that we don't appreciate, we think, oh, I hate them. They're ruining, what do we call it? They're like blowing up my space, or they're harshing my, what do we call that? Harshing my, what's the phrase? There's some phrase like that, right? Dude, you're harshing my, like, I forget what it is. But like, everything was cool until you came along and just started speaking the way you started speaking, and now I'm upset. That's harshing my mellow. Thank you, John.
Martian my mellow. I never
You
heard
never
that.
heard that one? Dude, you're
Martian my
Yo,
mellow.
get off of my cloud, dude. And,
I never
so,
heard that.
but so in any case, if we didn't have those people that stirred up such emotions in us,
Yeah.
we would likely just settle into a very kind of mediocrity. And so let's not get frustrated when people disturb us. Let's use it as a stimulus for deeper introspection and deeper purification.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Achuta, the one who asked the questions, writing on the message board. What do you say?
What if they're
What if
narcissistic?
they're narcissistic, trying to manipulate, gaslight, control you, or turn others against you? How do you empathize with them when their nature is antithetical to empathy? Well, that's when you got to be big. That's when you got to be big.
Mm.
We already think we're bigger than everybody. That's when we got to actually be bigger than everybody. We got to be bigger than that attitude and see it, like Kostuba said, in such a zoomed out phase that people are going through their hate. And if a person's hating, they're in pain. They're trying to take you down. They're in pain. So what am I going to return that hate with hate?
No.
Nah.
It'll just create more.
It creates more. And you know what? Ever do this? Ever daydream of revenge? Ever do that?
Yeah, I've been there.
You have? Really?
Of course.
Oh, I've daydreamed of revenge. Like, oh, if I ever get that chance. And then I create this
And
whole
the day's
turbo
gonna come.
scenario of like real bad revenge. I'll teach you. I've daydreamed some pretty horrible things. I'm gonna share some
Like medieval kind of stuff?
medieval.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Tar and feathering. I've
feathering.
I've never done tar and feathering in my mind, but I have daydreamed some bad. But I will say, how do you feel after you daydream like that? Like turbo scenario, you never feel good.
No.
Like cultivating ideas of revenge. And let's face it, people who don't have this understanding, they live in that and they go back to it. It's a reoccurring loop of revenge. I'm going to get him. If he ever does that again, this is what I would do. Or I do it like this. And it reoccur. It's a rerun in the mind again and again. And they live in spite and revenge. And that is all consuming. And then we create a culture that acts on it, and they get that chance. or if someone else crosses them, they lose it. They get into road rage or some other type of personal rage where they're no longer controlling their senses and mind. You see, we are meant to control our senses and mind. This is the ABCs of education.
Mm.
I don't know where we missed the memo on this.
No, we're supposed to indulge the senses in the mind. We're supposed to
Indulge, give them
pamper
whatever,
them and
give the
give-
senses whatever it needs.
No.
No, silly goose.
You know, and to what you're speaking, Raghunath, I think a lot of people, particularly people that are older and retired, if you don't really have a purpose or meaning in life,
Yeah.
it's very easy to get caught up in these news networks. You have the television
I
on running
know.
this stuff all day, and you spend your
Mhm.
entire day, every day, just waiting to hear some news about how your enemy is going to go down in humiliation and be crushed. You're just waiting for that moment. You need it. You're hoping for it. And then it goes the other way and you're really getting anxiety. And then it starts to go your way and you're like, oh, this is great. And
I've met so many nice people
yeah,
who've ruined themselves watching these like The View and stuff like that, or these other political shows where they better get a bunch of
whether
people
it's
just
Fox News or
talking and
CNN
talking
or
and talking
yeah,
and who
yeah.
they hate. And these people you get absorbed in who they hate, and it becomes part of your mind.
Political
And then
radio
you start
shows.
hating. And then if you even try to talk to them, your friend about whatever, they're just like they're spitting out some hate.
Yeah.
It's like they've contaminated themselves.
Yeah.
It gets bad. You know where I first learned this whole thing about mind? You're not going to believe this. I might have even mentioned on the show once, where I first learned about turbo scenarios, about meditating on hate and revenge. You know where I learned that?
I don't know.
Did you ever watch Davy and Goliath?
Yes.
You did? Mary, you don't know what I'm talking about. It was
Raghunath gets all
one of the
excited.
original claymation people, like when they had when they had Gumby
Christian.
when I was growing up, but it was a Christian one. And so there was this guy, Davy, boy, like a 10-year-old boy, who had a talking dog. And the talking dog always gave him some type of like God consciousness.
That was Goliath.
Yeah. And one of his Goliath. So it was Davy and Goliath. And so
But the dog
one
always had
time
the sage advice for the kid, right?
the dog always had sage advice. You should just watch a YouTube video of it after this. But anyway, one time someone really like cheated Davy or hurt Davy. So Davy would have all these, he'd sit there and he'd dream of turbo scenarios of revenge where he's taking this guy that hurt him and pushing him off a cliff.
Really?
And then like, kicking him down the stairs or hitting him from behind with a branch, something like that, where he'd be
branch.
publicly humiliated. And then finally Goliath says,
feathering them.
how are you cutting off one of his clay limbs? Anyway, and then Goliath just said, I don't know, Davy. I don't think revenge is a good. How do you feel? And then his father would give sagacious advice as well. His father would say, how do you feel, Davy, when you have these thoughts of revenge?
Hating and killing other people.
I don't know, Dad. Anyway, they're great lessons. I'm gonna watch one right after this podcast today, Davy and Goliath.
All right. Should we go on to question number 2?
Question number 2, Achut. I hope that satisfied your senses and mind.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what we got here. This is number 2, and it's from Gabby, aka Chapuji. Haribo, Miss Profess Ragu Mara
Profes.
Costuba.
Mis profes.
Buenos dias de Dios. I listened to the.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Are you just ignoring me?
Both.
Or is there a lag? Mis profes, my teachers.
My profes. Spanish, like the easiest language to learn. Okay. I listened to the latest Q&A, 238, a couple more times. Wow. She never misses a show, and she re-listens to a show. That's pretty impressive, Chapu. I listened to the latest Q&A, 238. That was years ago.
No, that wasn't episode 238. That was Q&A, volume 238.
Oh, that's a different number system.
That was just like last week. This is 239 today, I think.
Okay. She listened to it a couple more times.
That's a lot of Q&As we've done, right? 239 Q&As.
I hope they were good A's.
There had to be a few in there.
where you brilliantly discussed faith and reason. And I have a question that a bhakti practitioner might ask.
Okay.
We can build faith through reasoning and things we perceive through the senses. For example, we can have faith in a guru because we see their behavior, or we can have faith in the scriptures because we apply them and see the results in our life. But how can we build faith in Krishna and his benevolence, right? His doing good, his ultimate good, if we don't frequently experience it in this life?
Mhm.
Gracias, los quiero mucho.
Would you like a quesadilla?
Would you like a quesadilla, Cristobal? That's a good question. I'm gonna take a shot at that first.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's very common that people's mind, not everybody's, but a lot of people's mind goes to their lack, goes to their misfortune, goes to how they're not doing great, not getting what they want. And in a slightly refocusing or pivoting, changing the vantage point, you can start to say, you can flip it over and see the good fortune and everything. In the same way, you sort of answered the questions already. You said in the scriptures, because we apply them in our life and we see the results. Well, part of what the scriptures say is you have to see Krishna's hand in everything. And for us to focus on what we're not, unless you're going through a person who's going through a life of complete pain from birth to death. And maybe she's talking about there's people who are born into pain, born into some type of prison, horrible captivity or something like that.
Chapo was right because a lot of people, like in our own country is Venezuela, there's so much trouble.
Born into pain, born into
So
loss.
you look
Right.
around and you say, I don't know if I can see a benevolent God behind all
How
this.
can I see a benevolent God here?
Yeah.
It's sort of like the question before, where how can you see good in this person that's narcissistic, actively hates you, speaks ill of you, writes horrible things about you? You just got to see deeper. You got to see deeper than what's happening, and you got to train your vision to see Krishna's hand in everything.
Oh, I think that's a great way to praise it. Right?
And I think the way you said it at the beginning of class, or at the beginning of today's episode, was, it's in those times of pain that real growth happens. And we were joking how, yeah, Mara makes my life too easy. I can't grow anymore. I can't be that spiritual. You're not helping me. So in those times of pain, if we're leaning into knowledge, if we're leaning into Shastra, if we're leaning into Krishna, if we're leaning into spirit, then even through those troubled times, we'll develop deep growth. And if we're not, we'll lean into resentment. We'll lean into bitterness. We'll lean into hate. And how does that make you feel? Is that work? You just ask yourself, is that a better solution? And so a lot of our growth comes from pain. And whenever I see people going through lots of pain, I start to think Krishna has tagged them for accelerated bhakti. And I know Gabby Chapuji. She's actually a very evolved person. And it's probably because she's been leaning into a lot of this pain while she's got a lot of family in Venezuela dealing with a lot of hell. And she's just applying Krishna consciousness to it. What is our only option? Lean into bitterness, lean into it's not fair, lean into resentment. You can try that. It never works and never gives you actually what your heart wants. Kostubi, you want to take the baton and run with this?
Sure.
Like that?
Yeah, I think where her question is going is, I want to think that way, but it almost feels like maybe we feel like I'm almost lying to myself, or I'm kidding myself to say that there's a benevolent God behind this. It doesn't. I'm having trouble putting the logic. She gave an example like, I might have faith in a guru because I see their behavior, and it's so tangible, right? It's right there in front of me, that I'm like, oh, okay, this person's onto something. But the idea that that this that that all of this mess in the world is for our good. It's just really hard to put together. And that's when we go to the people that are the great deep spiritualists in any tradition, right? So many different traditions around the world have spiritual people that really went very deep and became very evolved. And what we see in their lives is that they always had this faith that God is behind everything. And it's that faith that enables them to act as saints in this world rather than react out of fear, right? Even like you and I had a little thing the other day, Raghunath, where
Fight?
not a fight,
Oh.
where you were, and I don't want to say this like I'm your instructor, but just because I was one step removed from it, it's a little easier for me to see it that way, where you were like right in the middle of it. But it's like something in your life was, there was a reversal in your life, something that was somewhat problematic.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, it does seem like a problem, but isn't it always that Krishna, this is how Krishna puts us on the right track, right? Like we have to let go of something that's been stable. Something in our life that seems stable suddenly seems unstable. And it's like, oh no. And then we find out that a couple years down the road, it's like, oh, it was good that it became unstable because now we're doing this,
Mm.
And that's how the saints live, that because they're not afraid of a little pain. They're not afraid of a little dose of bitter, in their life, because they know that it can be healthy and that it leads us forward. And that's how we make progress. We need to let go of certain things to move on to the next. The saints really have deep faith in that. They've experienced it. And so it is something that you learn through experience. But, there's a really important verse, and this is a verse that Prabhupada, it's from the Svetashvatara Upanishad, and Prabhupada quotes it like, I don't know how many times he quotes it in his books, again and again. But Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir, Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir, that, for one who has bhakti, for one who's devoted, for one who's got that higher devotion, that para bhakti, for when you get really devoted
Right.
to Deve, to God, and then it says Yata Deve Tata Gurau, and has equal faith, similar faith in the Guru, right? In the valid, true Guru, right? One who has devotion to God and to Guru. Tasyai te katita hyarta, the meaning, the message of these ancient texts. Prakashante, they become manifest. Prakashante mahatmanaha, to that such a great soul. So that kind of realization, again, is not a cheap thing. And it becomes revealed. This is how bhakti works. That kind of deep faith that we're talking about, it doesn't just happen by hearing it once. It doesn't even happen just by the clear logic that one may be able to frame it within.
Mm.
There is a strong logic to it, to frame within, but it's still hard to accept. But really, it's God teaching through an illuminated human teacher by which this knowledge manifests, becomes illumined, becomes enlightened, lights up within us. Prakashante, prakash, it means like it manifests in a brilliant way. So it may be that in the beginning that faith is like, okay, I'll take a leap of faith. I'll take a leap of faith to believe that God's hand is in what's going on in my life right now. But the deeper our devotion to God and the deeper our devotion to the valid Guru goes, the more that the conviction that one not only is like saying, okay, I'll try to keep faith in that, but the more that one knows it, I know it. I know that this is how God works. I feel it. My conviction is completely strong. And again, that's the consciousness of the saint. So don't expect it to be there immediately, but if you can see the logic in it, and if you can see people that exemplify it well, then you might have that seed of faith, and that seed of faith will grow and develop as you practice devotion to God and devotion to Guru, it'll mature in you,
Mm.
and you'll feel it deeply all the time.
I like that.
All right, we
Yeah,
got
we got
time
another
for one
question.
more, I think, huh?
Yeah, let's do one more. This is from I guess we didn't get to Sharianics.
Well,
This
there's
is
still one
from
ahead of that, right?
this is from Adrian.
Then well, now read the first paragraph because we got to.
This is from Adrian.
Yeah. Well, just the way that you're pronouncing Adrian.
It's
'Cause he addressed-
hilarious that you two just cannot figure out how to pronounce my name. It's pronounced in the typical way, Adrian.
Well, is it typical or not? Because like maybe
What do we,
it's
what do we
typical-
say? Adrian?
Well, no, because I don't
What have
think
we
it's
been saying?
Adrian. I don't think he says Adrian. I think he's like Adrian or
Well,
something like that.
well, the way he wrote it, Adrian, there's no like
H after the A.
there's no
Because the
emphasis.
typical way
There's
you
no
say it in
emphasis.
like
It could be
Spain
Adrian,
or Portugal or something.
Adrian or Adrian. You're supposed to. Oh no, he put a capital A, so it's Adrian.
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 I mean, that's the way I would say it.
That's the way I would say.
But I
How
think
do you- how
I
do
think
you
we
say it
got shot
wrong?
down for saying it that way.
Yeah, I think you shot us down, Mara.
I think he shot us down.
Sorry if it was me. I'll just apologize on that one.
Okay, let's just say Adrian.
Mara is so nice to me. Okay, it's okay. I've come across an instruction for japa from the Hari Bhakti Vilas.
What is the Hari Bhakti Vilas?
It's a book written by Sanatana Goswami about the different rules of bhakti.
Yeah. How
Um,
to live as a bhakti yogi. What
yeah,
are the
it's one
standards
Prabhupada
of-
quoted a lot, and it's who translated it now? You can probably find it now.
Oh, well, recently that was done by our recent guest, Brigupad Prabhu, Mans Brew, as he
Oh,
goes.
really?
You know, he did a thorough, probably like, you know, the English translation and study of it.
Ooh,
And I believe
What is that?
it's available for free out there online.
really?
If you Google Mans Brew Hari Bhakti Vilas, you probably find a free copy of it for yourself.
Monsbrew.
You like that name?
I do. Monsbrew, bro. Bro.
How do you pronounce that one?
Monsbrew, bro.
Mans Brew.
I want that book. Okay. Anyway, so it's Prabhupada didn't translate it, but he quoted from it. Isn't it cool that there were so many interesting books to translate? They're still out there that
What-
we haven't translated yet. It's so interesting.
What
They're
the
like
Gos-
jewels that are still buried.
what the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan gifted us.
Ah,
They went because the works, all the Vedic works are so vast that it becomes hard to make sense out of them. And they're speaking on so many different levels. They just went through them and they just kind of lined everything up in a way that it just all fits. All the pieces of the puzzle just click, click, click,
And
click, click.
and talk about good karma. These were like billionaire geniuses
Yeah.
with
Gave it all up.
impeccable character. Bless you.
Impeccable.
With impeccable character that just gave up everything to dedicate themselves to these books.
Just wrap themselves up in
It's
some
almost
simple
like we
rags.
really got to study these people. If you really study them, you'll fall in love with the culture. When you realize, because when people give up for something greater, it's impressive.
Mm.
But you realize like how much they had, how empowered they were in the
Mm.
material world. It makes what we give up for Krishna puny,
Paltry.
paltry, insignificant.
Yes.
So thank you, Sanatana
Petty.
Goswami. Oh, best of the Brahmanas. So this is a quote from this book. Oh, best of the Brahmanas. In all conditions and always, one should chant japa in one's mind
Mm.
because it has no faults. You may not know my mind. Whatever
Not
condition
the
he may
mind
be.
has no faults. It's the name has no
Oh, the name
faults.
has no faults. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, there we go.
Okay.
Whatever condition he may be, whether purified or unpurified condition, walking condition or still, the standing or sitting condition, sleeping condition, one should take shelter at the feet of chanting japa alone and chant japa within one's mind.
All right.
And I just listened to a class on this, and they were like getting to the bottom of this too. And I think they quoted this verse. It was Hari
Really?
Parshada gave a class on it.
Well, then you should have the answer.
Yeah,
Read
and
the
I was like,
question. You haven't
before
read the question yet.
before the
But why don't you read the question? The last
So here's the
line.
question: is this to be taken as a higher instruction for more advanced devotees?
Okay.
And after I listened to a class, I was just like, it sort of turned out to be exactly what I thought it was, which was keep the main thing the main thing. Like whatever it takes to help you focus your mind on the holy name, do that. If I just sit quietly and chant the whole, I can't do it. I have to hear it in an audible way or my mind can't focus. If I just do it in my mind, um, does that mean I should try harder just sitting there? Perhaps, but yeah, it doesn't work for me.
When I read this
About you?
instruction, I don't think he's saying don't chant it aloud, but I think he's saying you should have a soundtrack going on in your mind all the time.
That happens from chanting the holy name.
Yeah.
And
And
listening to kirtan or singing in kirtan.
now there is the instruction, I believe it's in the Harinam Chintamani, where it speaks that you can chant the name out loud or you can chant it within the mind. And it was saying that within the mind is for advanced devotees, not meaning that only advanced devotees do it, but meaning that if you're not advanced, you're going to have a more difficult time concentrating on it if you do it just in your mind and not aloud. And I definitely read quotes from Srila Prabhupada where he was telling his disciples, chant it out loud. Get your mouth moving, get your lips moving, get your tongue moving, make the sound, hear the sound, And I think it's exactly what you're saying. I agree. When I'm chanting out loud, I'm generally hearing it better. But I think this verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas is saying, even when you're not, even when you're brushing your teeth, and even when you're,
Right.
you can always have the soundtrack playing within yourself.
The soundtrack of Kostuba's mind.
Well, did I tell you? I think I shared once on the show before, but once some dear friends were doing. We were at Pumpkin Hollow. It was part of this retreat that we did at Pumpkin Hollow, and but they did this breath work kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Which it wasn't like traditional pranayama. It was like, I don't know the exact origins of where this kind of stuff comes from, but
Holotropic breath work.
Huh?
Holotropic breath work.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not my thing, but they're like, come on, Kastuba, you should come, and so I said, okay, I'll come.
Did you start crying or something?
I broke down. Everything deep within me that's been locked up for all these
I've only
years.
seen you cry once.
Okay.
Do you know when that was?
No.
You
gonna tell me?
Iandra died. When Iandra died.
Oh, when Iandra died. Yeah.
You probably see me cry a lot.
Okay, let's not talk too much about crying, but I'll tell you this. So they're doing this breath work where you got to breathe this way, huffing and puffing, and you're doing this and that, and then you got to like scream for a while, and you got to do all these other things. Yeah. Then you're like lying on your back and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to lie quietly and do something. I forget what it was, but I remember when I was lying quietly. And it's like for 10 minutes, you're lying quietly. After several minutes, I don't know how long I was into it, I realized that the holy name was playing in my mind. The Maha Mantra was going in, like on some deep level, it was going on in there, It was like it kind of trapped into some river of the holy name that's like playing out like somewhere deep in the vibrations in my body,
You are Krishna. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is this, is that even if we chant and, we try to be attentive, I've been chanting 16 rounds for 30 something years, 108 mantras, 16 times per day for 37 years. And still I have trouble, still the symptoms that are meant for someone that has prema don't manifest in me. My voice doesn't choke up when I chant. I don't cry when I chant. I don't get goosebumps when I chant. So, when does that kick in? It's like, what, am I wasting my time here? But it was still, there's something very satisfying to realize that even if I'm not there, that just by chanting so much, that it's like somewhere within my body, this stuff is like flowing, like somewhere deep down in my body, my mind, somehow in my psychophysical machine that I'm moving around in here, that vibration is like going.
Hey, if you don't chant japa, you're going to put something else in your mind,
That's right.
and you're going to have other songs running through your head. It could be TV jingles running through your head. We're trying to replace all those. Chanting japa does, especially if you ever chanted 32 rounds or 64 rounds. After you put down your beads, you can't stop chanting in your mind. You know, I ride a motorcycle, and whenever I ride a motorcycle, I just can't help it. I'm always singing. I'm always singing out loud on a motorcycle, chanting, singing, chanting. If you ever hear me die on a motorcycle, you should be convinced that Raghunath went right back to the spiritual world, because I am singing the entire, and sometimes very loudly.
All right.
Don't feel bad. Be happy for me.
Okay, it's a good thing. Nice.
But yeah, we need to replace any of those old singing, those old songs that don't bring us closer to God, with sound that lifts us up, sound that makes us climb to higher places, sound that which pacifies the mind, and sound that gives us deep, deep connection with the Lord. It's time. It's 8:58.
All right.
What do you think about that?
Oh, yeah, we don't have any takeaways, so we could just, there we go.
That's it. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. wisdomofsages.com. That's our website. Check it out. We have a new website. We had some great people in our community build for us. It's a community-supported podcast. If you like what we're doing, you can offer any contribution that you like by the month. It's filled with, once you do that, become a supporting member. There's tons of goodies, treasure troves of goodies you get. Yoga classes, astrology classes, workshops, lectures, stuff like that. But really, it's just to support us. Most people don't join for the goodies, although there are goodies. People join because they like what we're doing. They think it's a good thing. And the only way it can really go on is if you become a supporting member. And I want to thank everybody that has supported us. It means a lot to us.
You know what we're about to drop, Raghunath?
What are we going to drop?
We're going to drop 3 classes that I gave on the 15th chapter up at Superstore Farm in May.
All right, drop that.
We're going to drop.
I don't like the word drop today. I don't like the word drop, because I actually do drop things, and it's got bad connotation.
How about spill? Well, we're going to spill
today.
today?
We're going to spill today. Yeah, don't use spill either. How about present?
Gift?
Bring forth,
drop.
gift. No, we're going to give today. Gift sounds too.
Something like mercy drops. What is that verse? It's a Shakespearean thing. It droppeth like love droppeth. Or what is that? You know that one?
Release. We're going to release.
Mercy droppeth like something, or
droppeth like Jehu.
Look it up.
What's up with you, Mara? Getting ready for the family coming over today?
Yes.
Yeah. Mara's got a nice family. Her family's all nice. I'm not used to it. There's no argument.
Nice too.
Yours is nicer. Her family's nice. They're pleasant. They ask nice questions. If we say we're having a vegan Thanksgiving, they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, sure, vegan Thanksgiving." There's no pushback. It's a nice family.
Okay, Raghunath, I got it.
What do you got?
This is William Shakespeare. It's from The Merchant of Venice, Act. I'm not good with Roman numerals. I guess it's Act 4.
We love not wisely, but too well.
No, that's not it. The quality of mercy is not strained. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath.
The stuba is dropping from the heavens. His lecture.
So drop is good, right? Drop it.
It's like a hip hop word. Yo, we dropped this track.
This looks like a really good poem.
We're offering this track today. We're offering it. Thanks for your support. We're going to offer this.
Drop it.
That's a better way to put it. We're not Shakespeare. We're not like St. Francis. We're just a bunch. You know what I mean? Let's just offer it.
Dummies drop things too.
I know. So if we're dummies and we're dropping, that sounds bad. We're not. Otherwise, we sound arrogant. I'd say we just say we offer it. Hey, we got some offerings today.